I think we've all got to stand up together on this.
But it's not the far right he's worried about. I'm sure he is.
It didn't rise after I became leader. Anti-Semitism is there in society. An attack on a Jewish woman in the street or a Muslim person in the street, it's equally bad. An attack on a synagogue or a mosque is equally bad.
But you're speaking in generalities. Let's get
conspiracies, not use conspiracies.
Is that anti-Semitic?
Because constructed as being an anti-Semitic statement.
Right, but let's just get it clear.
And therefore should
I
not
asked
be
you.
used.
I gave you a specific quote.
I just said that it should not be used.
That's different from it being anti. There's lots of things shouldn't be
true. It is an anti-Semitic trope that has been used, and that was, if you'd let me finish before, I made that very clear in the Chakrabarti report, which we did very early on during my
that's all I wanted to establish.
Very early on during my leadership.
Yet these were the words.
It's not being investigated for anti-Semitism.
But he
it's been
hasn't
investigated
been
for
suspended.
process.
He hasn't been suspended.
And action has.
But he hasn't been suspended.
Ultimately can go to the National Constitutional Committee,
Why
which is again
for using what we've agreed is an anti-Semitic trope.
The investigation is ongoing.
It's a year.
Is ongoing so far as I'm aware, and action will be taken at the conclusion
Why
of
does
that
it take a year to investigate something?
There is legal representations which often delay things a great deal. If you perhaps give me the date of that.
The timing doesn't matter. That's what happened.
Well, I've strengthened the processes in the last 6 months.
She
That's why
posted
denial is not acceptable.
So why did she just get a letter of warning?
Is not acceptable in any way whatsoever.
Why did she just get a letter of warning?
Andrew, I've made it very clear. Holocaust denial is not acceptable.
When did you toughen up the rules?
When I proposed that egregious cases should be fast-tracked through the...
When was that? Because
I proposed it to the National Executive.
She got this letter this year.
Opposing racism, and that is what my life is. Andrew, can I finish, please? That is what my life is about.
Well,
I feel very passionately
except the
about
chief rabbi and the British.
I feel very passionately.
You've not convinced the chief rabbi or the British Jewish community.
Well,
your party is being invested.
We will protect the cemeteries also. We will not allow anti-Semitism in any form in our society because
they don't trust you. They don't think your heart's in it. They've seen you share platforms with some of the world's vilest anti-Semites.
When you say they, who do you mean? To be feeling insecure in our society, and our government will protect every community against the abuse they receive on the streets, on the trains, or in any other form of life.
Try one more time.
No, hang on a minute, Andrew. Can I explain what we're trying to do? I don't want anyone to go through what anyone has gone through.
And you've said that several times. I understand that, Mr Corbyn.
Racism in our society is a total poison.
You've said that several times.
Be it Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or any other form of racism, to make sure it's eliminated.
Right.
That is what my whole life has been about.
You've made that clear, and people will make up their own minds.
Private rented, poor lives.
Why are you remaining neutral?
Can I finish, please? The policy is that within 3 months we'll negotiate a leave option with the EU, which does take us out of membership. And
I've said that, Mr Corbyn. My question was, why are you remaining neutral on the greatest issue of our time?
And within 6 months, we'll put that to a referendum.
And I've said that too. Why are you remaining neutral?
And within 6 months, we'll put that to a referendum of the people of Britain, who will make that decision. And make sure that the leave deal is a credible one and the remain option is alongside it, so that we can act, which has done such, has been so effective in Northern Ireland.
Even if you got everything that you wanted in the
spending rules and so on in that referendum.
But the government will remain neutral. You're the one to remain neutral.
I'd be the Prime
Minister. Most of your shadow cabinet is going to campaign to remain.
I would be the Prime Minister that would make sure of it, and I would carry out the result of that referendum.
I understand that.
In whatever way it went.
What would you do during the referendum campaign? Would you go on holiday?
No, I'd be running the government.
But you wouldn't take part in the referendum campaign.
There are many other things to run as well.
You wouldn't take part in the referendum campaign.
I've said all along that I would adopt a position which would be enabling people to come to the economy, or particularly our jobs and trade.
Who would lead it?
Those that support it would be active in it. Those that support Remain would be active in it, and put that alongside Remain. That seems to me actually a sweetheart deal with the USA and all the problems that brings to our public services.
He's taken a side. You're not.
Well, all he's offering is to take a side with Donald Trump and the USA.
In this deal that you are...
in 2016, which can only be filled immediately from Europe as well.
So there
will be a lot of movement.
Right.
Only those earning over £80,000 per year will see a tax increase.
Well, let's hold on.
The marriage allowance is £250 a year.
And that goes to people earning...
Family atmosphere and bringing up children do not get the benefit of that.
But those who do get...
is a step towards equality, which
you may be right. My point is...
started a long time ago.
You may be right. That's not my point.
In free nursery provision for 2 to 4 year olds.
But they are going to pay more tax.
They will also get properly funded schools.
But they are going to pay more tax.
They won't get the advantage. It's actually taking away £250.
Let me give you another example.
Their total income.
14,000.
Yeah,
they'll pay 400 more.
They'll be taxed on the basis of their total income,
and they would pay 400 more.
And it's a graded tax, so that would be that would.
But they are not anywhere near. They're not anywhere near 80,000, and you've said nobody below.
About the underfunding of our public services and the poverty and inequality that austerity has brought to this country.
I'm just saying you're saying you're adding to people on £1,400.
You haven't asked any questions about poverty and austerity.
Let me come on. Well, I do ask the question. So let
of about 45-50%.
No. What share of income tax revenues do they contribute?
They contribute quite a lot, of course.
How much?
I couldn't give you the exact figure, but they contribute quite a lot.
They already contribute 50%.
Could and should pay a little bit more as well on top of that. But you're only talking of income tax.
I'm only talking income tax. But it would only take a small number.
Corporate taxation as
well. But I'm talking income tax revenues, your single biggest.
And the terrible levels of child poverty that exist across Britain.
But if these people leave, you don't have the money.
Andrew,
you don't have the money if these people leave.
The whole message has to be: we need more equality. We need more opportunity in our society. I'm sure you'd agree with that.
If you tax,
it becomes an investment from
which you're creating more government debt.
No, can I finish?
You're creating debt
from the water. Comes to
the public purse. To acquire these companies, you have to issue more debt.
You change
up to about 200 billion.
You exchange it for government bonds, which obviously
do
attract an interest rate, but it attracts a benefit. And I think you'll find that ultimately it becomes cost neutral.
Is there any
those natural monopolies like Royal Mail, like will be taken into public ownership, as will the national grid, to ensure
and of course
that the green energy revolution.
You will have to borrow for all that investment.
I've got a grey book here if you want.
No, I've got yours. That's fine. Where?
First of all, let's deal with the issue.
No, I know the issue, and I understand
you might,
the issue.
But I'm not sure all our viewers.
But I'd like to know where you go. Let's assume
those women.
How do you pay?
Those women were shortchanged. Right. I met a group.
I'm accepting that, Mr. Corbyn. I'm asking you. It costs 60 billion.
Andrew,
how do you pay for it?
Can I explain why?
No, I'd like
why.
Explain
why.
Explain how you pay for it.
It has to be paid for.
But how?
It has to be paid for. It's a moral debt.
How will you pay for it?
It's a moral debt that's owed to those women.
Will you borrow?
Often between 30 and 50 taken from them.
I understand that's your case. That's not what I'm arguing with you about. I'm arguing to say how will you find the money? Now, will you borrow for that?
Borrow in the long term, but I just
you would borrow for.
Can I finish?
But you would borrow for current spending.
Andrew, I realise your
words.
Determination to find out about this. Can I explain?
Well, I would like to find
cohort of women.
I don't know it's going to be paid. It's the only way you can pay for it.
We will raise if necessary.
We haven't got 60 billion of reserves, Mr. Corbyn.
1 year.
Okay.
It is over, and I just think we should just think for a moment. This is a group of women.
You've given that case, Mr. Corbyn, and there's other things I want to go on with. You've given that case.
And we will make sure they are compensated.
You just can't tell me how you pay for it.
I can, I've just told you. Government reserves, or if necessary, borrow
Where does the government have 60 billion of reserves?
I didn't say it did have 60 billion of reserves, but
all right. Well, it comes out at about, what, 6-7 billion?
Paid in 1 year.
It has to be paid over a period of time.
Probably over
What is the size of our reserves at the moment?
It's nowhere near that figure, of course.
Exactly.
And you're right on that, but it will be an additional cost that 2011, when the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats got together to take these, in order to shortchange a whole generation of women in our society.
I want to move on. I've got other things to cover.
Be selling arms to Saudi Arabia to bomb Yemen, which has actually made the situation worse. So I do think a government that looks serious, problems we've got are actually climate change and immediate
you
threats,
said you want to keep Britain safe.
probably of cyber security.
You said keeping Britain safe.
Capture that person.
But how could you arrest? We're talking about someone who's in hostile territory. This is important because you said you want to keep the country safe.
In a serious way also.
But if it's not possible, would you give the go-ahead
to
take them out?
I would take the appropriate decisions at that time when I knew the circumstances.
People just don't think you would do it, do they, Mr. Corbyn?
Well, Andrew, They didn't get their arms from nowhere.
So you go back into history. I'm talking about a man who is a danger now, who is training people to come and do us harm. And you cannot tell our viewers tonight that you would give the go-ahead to take him out.
I will take the appropriate decision at the appropriate time.
What does that mean?
With all the information. You asked me a hypothetical question in a hypothetical scenario.
But it might not be that hypothetical because we know.
The point I just raised is a very serious one.
It doesn't stop him from killing us.
Andrew, you have to look to the future as well.
That's what I'm doing. You were just looking to the past. This man is planning to send terrorists to this tonight.
I would take the appropriate action with the information I got at the hypotheticals of what might happen or might not happen at that moment in time.
We're out of time, Mr Corbyn. I have to stop you there, but you have given your answer.